but we are going to get down and dirty on government lists. Not only am I going to show you the absolute best must-to list you have to pull, I'm going to show you where to pull them. I'm going to tell you how to ask for them. And I'm going to give you the mantra, the cheat sheet on how to actually get progress and get the list that you actually want. It's actually easier than you think, but most of you give up way too easily. And for that reason, today we are going to go all in it. So once again, my name is Ginn, and today it's all about government lists. So first I have to talk about government lists. And it is a government-derived list, either court-appointed or city or county-appointed lead, that indicates a seller's possible motivation. Now, you know how our government works. Almost everything they do is a train wreck, in my opinion, but that's just it. So when they put people on these lists, it's hard to get off these lists, and you have to go through these ridiculous protocols to get off these lists. Don't worry, I'm going to go through every one of these lists in grave detail. If you're asking me which list, if you want to learn more how to do it, just go over to freewholesaling.com. I go into deep, granular detail to teach you how to do this. But the bottom line is, these are lists that are derived from government. And once you get on this radar screen, it's tough for sellers to get off. And if they don't get off, they get financial liens imposed against them on the property on a daily basis. I've seen one yard cut code violation turn into a $30,000 lien. Absolutely ridiculous. But once again, you have your government agencies running these, and whenever they try to manage anything in mass, it usually winds up being a nightmare. Now, this list, sorry about my run-on sentence there. Well, let me fix it, because even that drives me nuts. And this is my ADHD just kicking in completely, but we'll fix it. No big deal. Government lists are free, but please don't think for a second that free means it's easy. It's actually kind of the opposite. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's free, it can't be good. Number one, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Okay. You can go work out for free in your house, outdoors at a park, and you can get just as jacked and ripped as if you want with your own body weight. Just a lot of people don't value it because it's not free. They want to go pay a trainer and get the whole, I don't know, LA Fitness type of thing. You can have whatever you want. When it comes to lists, just because they're free, don't let that fool you into thinking like they're really bad. It's actually the opposite. They are absolutely the best, most highly motivated lists. The challenge is your government is running the list. And if you guys ever dealt with any type of government agent, county, city level, whatever it is, even federal, it's a freaking nightmare. It just is what it is. It wasn't always this way, but I'm going to teach you how to navigate through it, so don't worry about it. So you've got to understand these lists are basically, wait a minute, where it goes. They're free, but I will tell you, I love when wholesalers go out and get these lists because number one, they listen to me. Intact. And number two, they won't take no for an answer. And it just shows they have the guts to it. Because the reality is when you go after these lists, guess what? Resistance is coming. It's coming hard and it's coming fast. Put in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. So many people think I'm going to go out and request these 5 or 6 government lists, and it's all going to be dandy. And then you guys get shocked when you only get half the list. I never ever told anybody this was going to be easy. But think about it. If these lists are challenging to get, most people give up after one no. I look at it as I have a huge advantage over most people that request these lists, period. The reality is most people go get these lists and they go, I'm sorry, Mr. Ginn, you can't have that. Okay. No, you can't do that. Yeah, I'm going to teach you actually how to do the complete opposite. You're going to stay there and kill them with sweetness and kindness, and you're going to get what you want. Because you know what? You know what beats resistance? Persistence. If you are a persistence person. I didn't say nagging. I didn't tell you to be a nasty person. I want to use other words, but I'm not going to. But you have got to be extremely persistent. Just because others accept a one-time no doesn't mean you should ever accept it. And honestly, that should go for anything you deal with in life. Stop complying with everybody who tells you what to do. Stop being a sheep and following everybody else. Go out and cut your own path. You are going to get resistance, but if you learn how to be persistent and rephrase the questions, you can easily push through the resistance you get on these lists. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it. If anybody wants to role play it, I'm happy to do it with you. Here's the truth, guys. This is going to hit you hard, so you might want to be sitting down for this next statement. Most wholesalers are just too lazy to pull these government lists. Oh my God. Number one, they're free, so they're going to be crap. And then I got to put up with government employees, and I'm just too big. Do you see this ego? Do you know? My favorite question is when someone goes, do you know who I am? No, I don't know who you are. I don't really care. Like, honestly, I don't give people credit for their ego. So a lot of wholesalers want to take their ego and cash it in at these government offices. and they have no clout, they have no credibility, and nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares how flashy you are on the internet. Nobody cares about your Lambo. And we definitely don't care about the house you live in and the fancy car you drive. They don't care. So you have to lose your ego when you go to get these lists. But this statement is so true. If you guys go to any type of wholesaler meetup, I don't care where it is. I don't care if you go to an event in Orlando. I don't care if you go to one in Tucson. I don't care. You go to Phoenix, you go to Tampa, you can go to Fort Lauderdale, Miami. If you're not talking about government lists and you're talking about wholesaling, you are not at a wholesaling event. You are at probably a pitch fest or just a regular real estate investing event. And honestly, wholesaling is completely different than just real estate investing. In my opinion, it is the highest skill set you can get in this business, period. Once you have the skill sets of a wholesaler, you can do any other task in real estate investing. Try to flip it around. Try to take a realtor or a rehabber or like a note buying guy and have them do wholesaling. It is a 100% failure ratio because they don't have the mindset. They don't have the guts to do what we do. And for that reasons, you have to understand it. And that leads me to my next one. Gurus avoid all government lists. They think they're below them. They can't really make money off of them. You can't get a subscription service from it. They can't get an affiliate. And for that reason, they don't promote it. Guys, listen, I recommend PropStream. I recommend Batch. I do Launch. I do all sorts of stuff. Why? Because they're great products and we use them in our business. But am I going to avoid telling you about a free method to find the most highly motivated sellers when I've done over 20 years of personally chasing these people myself? If I didn't tell you, I'd be doing you a massive disservice. The reason the gurus do not recommend government lists or go out of their way or just glaze over it because they can't make immediate money off of it. And for that reason, I call them all out on it. I think it's ridiculous. When you're starting out wholesaling, you need to attack these lists like it's your last breath of air. Why? Because they're going to give you the best odds for it. Did I say it's going to be easy? No. Are you going to have to work for it? Absolutely. But when you get a deal, it's going to help you get past all your inexperience, your lack of information. You can get through this. You're just trying to help people. So in wholesaling, we always learn the skill of marketing first, because if you can't connect with motivated sellers, you don't have to learn the rest of the business. It won't work. So let's dive into the list and let's take them down one by one. And I love this. It says, I got that yesterday. Do you know who I am? Listen, if anybody ever starts out with, do you know who I am? Translation is, my ego is so big. And if you don't know who I am, you are a pedestal, you are a stepping stone to me. And I don't want to deal with it. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Listen, there's not many people I look up to in this life, meaning you have to be humble in life and you have to get through it. It's absolutely ridiculous when people say, do you know who I am? Or listen, you have to earn it every day. You got to earn respect. Just because say you did a monster deal or you helped out a lot, that's great. What have you done today to help people out? Every day I do a deal, I get one, I start off the next day, I am broke. Why? Because I have to remind myself every day where I came from, because I'm not going to get complacent and wind up and back in my old personality. My old personality sucked. It made me broke and it made bad decisions in my life. And if you want to change stuff like that, you're in the right place. So let's keep going. It's going to be fun. We're going to walk through all of them. So we talked about, oh, wait a minute. Let me take that off. Okay. It's a good comment, though. And guys, keep asking your questions. I promise I'll get to them. So here's what we have to do. How do we ask for these government lists and where the heck do we go to get them? Because that's what everybody wants to know. So this whole live stream is recorded. So if you're watching it live or you miss it, you can come back and refer to it. If you want to know in grave detail on how to get all these lists in detail, ask for and go to freewholesaling.com. It's a free course there. We teach you not only do your first deal, but how to make your first 100K in wholesaling. And we'll go and do it. But let's just walk you through it. I'll spoon feed it on you. If you got any questions, we'll answer them. Number one, how to ask for them. Okay. So let's talk first on how to ask for them, and then I'll show you where to go. And this is kind of the easiest one. I'm giving you a script. You guys know I hate scripts because I think to have conversations, you have to have key points ready to go. But if I'm walking in, they go, Mr. Ginn, why do you want this list? I go, listen, I'm just a regular tax-paying citizen or student. I'm telling you guys, if you're young, use the student. It gives you a free pass every time. Somebody's always working at a government counter and they have a kid in college, they got a kid in high school, or they got a kid in middle school doing some sort of research project. And once they go, oh my God, it's a student doing his research project, they usually will roll over for you. But if you're old like me and you can't pass like that, I just use the following line on your screen here. Listen, I'm a tax-paying student. I'm doing a little independent research from the county records. Can you help me out? That's it. Don't go in and go, I'm a wholesaler and I'm going to flip these properties. I'll make $20,000, $30,000 off them. They're going to judge you instantly and you're never going to get anything from them. Remember, here's the problem you guys are dealing with. You have a gatekeeper of public records. Yes, every record I'm going to show you is technically public, but the challenge you have and why you get resist is a privacy policy of each department. And it's kind of like an oxymoron. And you guys know anything that intercedes with the government, it doesn't always make sense. So it's public, but it's private. Huh? Explain it to me. What I will tell you is I don't want you harassing these people and threatening them because it's not going to get you anywhere. And honestly, they're just employees. They're just doing what their bosses tell them to do. So if you understand that, you have to learn how to use your skill sets, just like when you talk to motivated sellers on how to get things you want. Honestly, guys, this goes for anything you want in life. Anybody who has little kids on this live, you know, kids, the best salespeople I ever met in my life. Like they get what they want. Like, please, mommy, just get it to me. I promise you, I'll never make another peep in my life again. 9 times out of 10, the parent gives it to the child and the cycle repeats. Why? Because you just rewarded the child and now they know how to get whatever they want. You have to take that same childlike curiosity and use it when pulling these government lists. I'm not kidding you. I am dead serious on this. It's like, Rick's ADHD, I don't think his medicine's kicking in. By the way, I don't medicate myself for any of my ADHD because honestly, I don't think there's enough of it. Okay, next one. So let's go through each of the lists. So code violation, hands down, top list. Okay. All these lists are my favorite, but code violations, honestly, it made me who I was in my first 2 years of wholesaling. If I only had to pick one list and I was clueless, I would go straight to code violations. Why? Because this is just a list of properties where people did something not so stupid with their property, but it's just out of character. The purpose of a code violation is to keep the community's values at stable levels. And so your neighbor, they just can't do crazy stuff over there. They can't build monster trucks in the front driveway. They can't put in like exotic landscaping that's so wild that it's like risking the entire neighborhood. So typical code violation is going to be tall grass, which we call landscaping, structural, deferred maintenance, and like mold. Now, how do I look for that? Just look for tall grass. So I'm here in Florida. It's really easy. In the wintertime, you guys are up north, it'd be a little bit different. But I guess you would look for people that didn't even shovel the snow out of their driveway. I don't know how that works. You guys can let me know in the comments. I don't do snow. I don't understand snow. It's just really cold stuff. Next thing, I look for blue tarp roofs. One of my favorite. It's like a sign pointing right here. Go, hey, buy this house. We've got problems. And you know, when you put on a blue tarp on the roof, you're usually way into overtime. In fact, most people put a blue tarp on the roof outside of a hurricane, tornado. Those tarps stay on the roof for a year to the point where they disintegrate. When I see a disintegrating one, I know we have a major problem. And I know I need to help out this homeowner. The other one are boarded up windows when they leave them up forever. And then if you just see like knockdown mailbox, if you see garbage and debris stacked up by the front door, that means nobody's living there. And to me, I get really excited about those properties. So a code violation, basically either a Karen in the neighborhood reports them. I apologize if your name is Karen. I know that's not fair. We'll call him a Rick. They report you. I'm telling on my neighbor. And that's one of the biggest offenses. And then basically a code enforcement comes out, takes a picture, tries to talk to the owner. And if not, they put a notice on the door. You got 30 days to fix it. Otherwise, we're going to post fines, liens, and judgments, yada, yada. So that's it, guys. These lists can be very, very long, very, very long. So basically, where do I go to get the code violations? Very simple. You have to go to the city office. This is usually going to be the building department where you're going to have the city staff. And this is where they're going to issue city building permits. Now, every department's a little bit different, but a lot of times these are located next to like the city hall, or if there's a city police department, they're usually very close together. That will give you a area to start in. As far as what list to ask for, just look for open violations and try to look for like the last 30 days. The fresher the violation, the better off it is. But honestly, you can do old violations, but a lot of times a violation opens and it gets closed. You don't want to waste your time with those people. So if the loan got high and they cut it 2 weeks later and it's off, kind of a waste of time. So it happens a little bit, especially in the South in the summer. Just stuff like that. So let's move to the next one. Anybody got it? If you got any questions on code violations, this would be now the time to drop it. So I'm going to put one up here. Emerald says, we have electrical and plumbing. violations. I don't know if those would be worth it. That means someone's doing work probably without a licensed electrician or a plumber, and they're going to have to fix it anyways. And I don't know if that's enough of a sign to do it. So, okay, let's keep moving on. We got a lot of them to get through. The next one, probates. If you don't know how I feel about probates, just Google Rick and probates, and that's all I got to tell you. I love probates. They are phenomenal. And a probate is just the process when a person passes away to wrap up their financial affairs, to basically transfer any title issues, because a person who's passed away obviously can't sign for it. So usually what they do is have a will, and in that will they appoint a personal representative, aka PR, and that person is in charge of wrapping up the final affair. Now, usually real estate winds up being a person's single largest asset. End of story. So it makes sense why we want to work probates. We want to find the most recently opened probates in the last 30 days. Next, where do we find probates? This is very, very simple. This is the easiest part of it. You're going to go to your county courthouse, and they have a county probate court. They only deal with probates. There's usually a reception person that files the paperwork and keeps everything going. That is a great person to learn how your probates work in your state. And you should go online and you should research what the probate process is and how it works. There's about 3,200 counties in the United States. Here's the crazy part. Almost every county is different. So I can't give you answers on every one of them. The best thing you want to do is do as much research as you possibly can. How do I do it? Number one, work with your local title company. They know how probates work. Number two, work with your probate court. Don't be like the average guy with a huge ego. I'm not going to ask where's directions. You'll be lost in the middle of the desert. Like, just ask directions. It's easier. Lose your ego. Remember, you have to lose your ego to be successful in wholesaling. Ask for help. They have the roadmap. They know exactly how to get to the documents you want. The question is, are they going to guide you? And are you going to ask the right questions for you to get there? Because keep in mind, here's my favorite part about probates. They have the highest profits. Think about this, guys. Somebody's passed away. God bless them. And when they passed away, the house is typically outdated and the house is customized to take care of an elderly person. And a smart family will take care of the family member and deal with the house later, right? The last thing you want to do is put somebody in their final dying request is put their property through construction. Once they are in heaven or wherever they're going to wind up being is, then they have to figure out how to take care of liquidating the property. And this is where most people go, listen, I just want to sell it as is. Maybe they have an emotional attachment to it. It's hard to walk back in the home where you had a loved one, especially a parent or anything like that. So you can see how people would have challenges with it. And then we provide solutions to them to take care of almost everything. And by the way, most probates I buy it with everything. They're like, can you just deal with everything? I'm like, that's fine. And sometimes I'll give them $1,000 more. It doesn't matter. The stuff inside the house isn't worth anything to me. But if it helps me get a deal, I will throw in like an extra $1,000 or something like that. And then I'll have an auction company just come in and buy it on site. I don't do auctions in the house because they trash the houses when they do auctions. But remember, your main focus is always on the real estate, nothing else. We are not, what's the word? We are not garage sale people. We don't do trade stores. We don't do consignment stores. Guys, that's all stuff that will distract you and waste your time. I don't want you doing that. So I love probates. Here's the challenge with probates. It is challenging getting these lists because everybody wants to hide behind this privacy policy. Sometimes you can get them online, but 9 times out of 10, you got to go in person and pull them. People ask me how often. Depends on how many leads you have. But the reality is, get the most fresh, updated information, and that gives you the speed advantage over everybody else. Remember, in the beginning, you don't have the regular skill sets of a wholesaler. So what you have to do is you have to make up and you got to go find the best leads possible with the highest chance of getting a deal done. And a lot of times these people will overlook some of your inexperiences. They did with me. Why? Because I went straight to where the deals are. I didn't have to sell anything. I just walked them through it. And each deal I got better and better. If I started trying to do this on MLS or just trying to JV with other people, I would have probably failed miserably. This is why I'm so hung up on government lists. I don't make a dime off telling you about government lists, but what I do is I make you successful. And the more wholesalers I can make successful, the better the result, the better the experience for you, and the more you're going to listen. I want to work with the Ginns because they actually told me the truth and showed me how to do this. They didn't hammer me with a course. And that's what I want to teach you. So we got probates and code violations. Please, my God, You have to do these in your businesses. If you're not, you're missing out on an incredible, incredible profit center with the highest motivation, in my opinion. Now, here's the catch with probates. You're not going to get a probate call every minute on the day. Honestly, it's not uncommon to get 1 or 2 phone calls in a month. You're like, are you kidding me? Here's the cool part is it's not hard to do. You simply mail them a letter. We teach you how to do the whole thing at freewholesaling.com. I even give you the template. I can't make it any easier for you. Here's the key is when they call, you have to answer your phone live. Don't be one of these gurus that thinks your ego is so damn big you can't answer the phone live because do you know who I am? Answer the phone, be a real human, and let them talk to you. And if you can strike a deal, that's great. You got to be patient. Learn more how to do it over at freewholesaling.com. Next one, tax delinquencies. I love tax delinquencies. Let's go into it because honestly, I think this is probably the most misunderstood government list of them all. So let's deep dive it a little bit. What do I want a tax delinquency? Well, you want the average median price to be at the point you want it to be. Do not chase down $1 million homes on the tax delinquency. You're wasting your time. They're not going to be selling you a home. I've got 20 plus years data. You need to stick to your average median price or below of the target market you are wholesaling. Once you get on those big numbers, those people are just using the tax government system to offset financing because a lot of them have $50,000, $60,000 tax bills and they'll wait 2 years to pay it based on their own company's cash flow. So average median price at or below. And so you're typically looking under 450. And then basically you want them owning at least 2 years behind in back taxes. One's not the worst, but 2 says we have massive problem. Okay, that's it. Here's the really cool part. Where do I go to get tax delinquency? Very misunderstood. They're going to be at your county offices. It's always at the county level. Real estate property taxes are assessed at the county level. They're not, occasionally there's a couple little townships, but for the most part, it is a county revenue. So it's an expense to us, a revenue to the government, because the government doesn't make a dime. They only spend our money. The government has never, ever been profitable. And whatever little times they are profitable, they usually do it by accident. They're terrible business people. But county offices, a hint, if you have a DMV, building permits, or a county commissioner's meeting hall, you're in the right spot. So people always ask me, okay, Rick, how often do I pull a tax delinquency? Well, taxes can only be delinquent once a year. Take the hint. Ready? Yearly. Okay, once a year. Now, you need to find out in your county when taxes are due. So in Florida, the first tax bill is due November 1 and you get it mid-October. Actually, I'm expecting a big fat stack of invoices here shortly. And I'm not crazy about this time of year, but I set my money aside for the properties I owe on it. A lot of people that don't pay their property taxes in their mortgage get this big fat bill. And if they're on tough economic times, which a lot of homeowners are right now, inflation's killing everyone. The grocery store's a nightmare. Gas is ridiculous. And you get a $5,000 or $6,000 tax bill. You're like, honey, how are we going to pay it? And like, I don't know, set it in the, we'll figure out how to pay it later aisle. And then that happens to millions and millions of Americans. And after a while, after 3 or 4 months goes by, they wind up on a list of delinquent taxes because they're going to sell what they call a tax certificate. And then basically from that, it will be sold and then someone else will pay the taxes and they get an interest rate. I'm not here to get into all of how that happens, but you only got to pull it once a year. So an example in Florida, they're due in November, 4 months later, 4 to 4.5 months later, they wind up on a tax delinquency list, usually in March and April. Actually, April 100%. Once they're on that list, they're target 1. I look for people that owe 2 years or more on an average median price, going to be 450 or below. And that's what I target. And you have to sort these lists. You want to make sure you get them in an XLS file, and you got to be super nice to these people. Now, it's not the easiest list to get anymore. The crazy part, it is 100% public information, but how they deal with the privacy policy is the absolute nightmare on these lists. And you got to keep that in mind when you do it. So, okay. Let me keep going here. What else I got? Okay, next one. Water shutoff. My God, if you guys haven't done the water shutoffs, I'm going to give you the good and bad on it. So first of all, water shutoffs is basically when people stop paying their water bill and they shut the water off. I know it's crazy, but it's a common sense statement. You want to look for people that have non-payment, and you really want to look for the last 30 days. So you can go back the last 60 days, and you got to make sure it is the keyword public utility company. Some people call it government utility, but it has to be public. If it's private, they're not going to give you the information because it's a private business. Now, if it's public, it does not guarantee you're going to get that information. Quite the opposite. I find water shutoffs one of the more difficult lists to get, but I just want you to know that you will get resistance on this list. and you're going to have to sweet talk your way through it. And if you can overcome resistance with persistence, you have a great shot at getting it. I have never guaranteed everyone you're going to get all these lists. You never get everything you want in life, but you do get the stuff you go after in life. And if you understand that difference, you can actually function in life. So let's talk about this. Where do we go for the water shutoffs? It's just your local utility company. Honestly, I find the phone call the best, the first, and occasionally you have to go by there in person. These can be difficult employees, but keep in mind, when you're shutting off people's water, people do not get happy. So there's no bulletproof glass or anything like that. It's not like the IRS or the state when they're collecting their taxes. But water shutoffs, think about this, guys. When someone shuts off the water, that house doesn't function anymore. No one's taking showers. No one's washing dishes. There's a lot of stuff you can't do without water. I'm not going to get into the graphic details of it, but it's disgusting. Okay. For that reason, it is one of the single most motivating factors to finding someone who needs to sell a house. Think about this too. Like, well, Rick, what about a landlord if they shut off the water? They shut off the water because they're either getting ready to sell the property, switching over the tenant, or the tenant just stopped paying the water bill. Either way, all three of those case scenarios, I want to be in front of that homeowner and I want to make them an offer. Why? Because it's timing. And if you hit them at the right timing and the right conditions, that's how great wholesale deals get put together. Great wholesale deals, just so you guys understand, great wholesale deals don't perfectly get it ready, get you all these photos, get you the phone number, the seller's information, and put it on the internet and give you a price. That's not wholesaling. And if you're being taught and told that's wholesaling, you are being conditioned as a realtor. That has nothing to do with wholesaling. You actually have to go get all the information yourself. That is the value add tool that we do. We go out and we hustle and we get the information and we beat everybody else to the punch. Realtors sit back and wait till they can get the highest price possible. And then they put it on the MLS and then they just handle phone calls and they sweet talk people. Okay. Realtors do provide a value, but it has nothing to do with wholesaling. Next up, fire damaged properties. God knows I love these. Basically, they're properties that have been damaged by fire. Like, this is not rocket science, guys. But keep in mind, where do we find fire damaged properties? Actually, this is the simplest one of them all. You simply go to the fire department. Now, a lot of counties, you can have a county fire department and you can have a city fire department. Where I live, we have multiple fire departments. So it's like really cool. And they talk to each other, but they have different policies. I find it just simplest to go to, you don't call on these and you don't deal with, they're not technically government employees, even though they work for the county, but you just need to find the fire marshal, the chief, or whatever it is. I know I'm using terrible terminology. If there's a firefighter on here, let me know. And just ask very, very nicely, because these are wonderful people and they do a job that you and me probably could never suck up if we wanted to. Jumping into a burning building to save human lives and pets and babies, unbelievable, and risk their own life. So I need you to be super nice and just simply ask, do you guys keep a list of the most recently fire damaged properties that you were on call? That's it. Super nice. And you can still be persistent, but you can be nice. These are not salespeople. These are not what I consider your regular government employees. A lot of these people that you're talking to are the ones that actually get on the trucks and go out and do the fires. Like, they go out and deal with them. So can you please not run these people over? A lot of them are ex-military. They're really, really smart people. And honestly, we need more of them. So please don't give them a hard time. And they're getting more and more traffic from us. But listen, the bottom line is we're just trying to help people out and trying to get these properties sold. So if you ask super nicely, it should go a long way. But if you don't get it, just wish them the best and everything else, and then go find another fire department. Okay. The next one, arrest records. A lot of people always say, they send me a message, Rick, the hell do I want to do arrest records for? Listen, the reality is, in wholesaling, you're looking for people with problems. When people get arrested, you have major problems. And I'm not talking about your regular jaywalking arresters, your protest arresters. Somebody threw a beer bottle and hit the side of the building, got arrested. I get it. Those people are getting out. For the most part, we are looking for arrest records that, number one, the arrest records is just a set of records. What you're going to do is cross-reference the person that got arrested to see if they own property in that particular county. And here's the most common three that we buy off of: DUIs, battery, and theft. Now, you're thinking like, you're looking, the type of arrest records are people that are going away for usually 24 months or longer. Some of them are just 1 year. Now, I know you're thinking like, DUI, what the heck's that got to do? I'm not here to like give you like legal, but you get arrested the first time in DUI, you can usually get out and pay a crap load of fines. The second one, you're going to do a short stint of jail time. The third one, you're going away for a long time. So I deal with a lot of people going away 3 to 5 years for multiple offenses of DUI. And it is by far my most common. The second one is battery. I'm not here to make judgments on people. I just want to buy the property. And then theft. As long as they don't rip me off, it's none of my business. And you have to understand that. So where do you go for the arrest records? That's the easy part. You're not going to get resistance here. They are online, guys. Online. From your city police, or you can do your county sheriff's office. They work. I'm going to be honest with you. You get a lot of drama with them, but I've got some of my best discounts on them. And why not? If you know you're going away for 3 to 4 years, they're going to need cash to survivors. And a lot of these people don't have people they can trust to take care of their houses. It's just why they wound up in this position. So they rather do this deal. I will tell you this, anybody who's under arrest or incarcerated, do not ever do a creative financing deal with them, because when they come out, they're going to take their house back every time. Ask me how I know. I'm just telling you, it never sets in. I don't care what paperwork you sign. So if you buy it, make sure they understand it's a closing and it's all said and done. Now, I have a disclaimer to give you guys because I get a lot of questions on this. And by the way, are there more lists? Yes, I could go all day. The one list I didn't put on here because I could talk all day, but I want to jump on live with you guys. And if you want to jump on a live, get in line now and I'll help you out, is the evictions. You just go down to your county courthouse and the evictions, extremely public. You should get zero resistance, and you have to deal with landlords. Some of them own 1 to 4 properties. Those are my favorite. That people own 100 or more properties on eviction, you're usually wasting your time with them. That's my experience with them. People always ask me about divorce. I hate that list. Divorce is hard on everybody, but whenever they got kids mixed up into it, it's always one person wants to sell it cheap, the other one wants $1 million. And like, you can't force two people that hate each other to make a decision for the common good of the family. It usually doesn't work out that well. I've done divorce ones, but I don't chase the divorce list down because it's painful. There's no other word. Now, here is my disclaimer. Tax certificates, tax deeds, foreclosure auctions is not a wholesaling strategy. Battle me on this. Tax certificates, you have to bid, and you're bidding an interest rate, and you have no ownership in the property. Okay, you're buying a lien. Tax deed, depending on what state's kind of the same thing. And a foreclosure auction, you're bidding. Whoever pays the most wins. Do you really want to be that winner? Guys, when we talk about this stuff, it has nothing to do with wholesaling. Say you go out and buy a tax certificate or a tax deed, tax certificate in particular, all you did was buy a lien. You have no more control. I can go and knock on that door and negotiate with that homeowner and still buy that house. You'll still get your money, but you have no tactical advantage. I don't know why people discuss this. I buy them all the time. People goes, wait a minute. How did you buy that house? I own the tax certificate on it. I go, okay, here's your $2,200. Go have a nice freaking day. You don't have any authority other than the lien that you bought. And somebody taught a strategy. If you own the tax certificate, now you can control the homeowner and actually get them like to give you the house. No. And then worst case scenario, if you never get paid for your tax certificate, you basically file to have the tax certificate to move over, and then you can file for a foreclosure. Guess what? You got to pay for an attorney. You got to file all the foreclosure fees, everything, probably $5-6 grand to get it done. And then guess what? People bid on the house, and you are only going to get paid how much is owed to you. So you get paid your attorney's fees plus your $2,000, maybe $200 in interest, and that's it. Somebody else is still going to buy the house. So you did not cut the line. The only time it works out for you, if nobody bids on it, then you can take the house. But guys, think about this. All these auctions are online. Anybody in the entire world can bid on them. People from China, Europe, anywhere. If it's a good house, it's going to get bid up. The only ones that don't get bought are the properties you can't build on, or they're tiny lots. And that's why the county winds up owning the properties. And that reminds me, when you go to do your tax delinquencies, do not ever reach out to county-owned properties because there's a reason the county owns it, because it's an unsellable piece of land, or nobody absolutely wants it because the cost is way too high to develop it. So guys, I stand and preach on these tax certificates. Like, I had somebody go to one and they bid it on like 6 properties. I'm like, if you're bidding, you're not wholesaling. Wholesaling has nothing to do with bidding. It's about solving people's problems and getting the best deal possible. So Rob's right there. On top of it, when you do tax certificates, any type of auction, every state has a different redemption. And a right of redemption is like, in some states, the homeowner has up to 1 year to buy it back at the whatever amount I guess the court sets it. Could you imagine waiting 1 year to see if someone's going to buy a property back? Now in the state of Florida, they only have 3 days, so it's like pretty black and white because they hold the title back in that for I guess it's for 72 hours, whatever it is. So like if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. But like, can you imagine waiting a 1 year? So guys, if you want to ask a live question, what I want you to do is if you go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real, and that top link, there's a StreamYard link, and you can jump on there.